ki waenga nui o te whareparimata o Aotearoa o te raki nā kōrua Gareth Niki. Thank you very much for taking the opportunity to have your Ryla Day here at Parliament, the marae of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Thank you, Wendy, for being so tenacious in nailing me down to get this room and get these facilities made available to you. I think this is the second or third Ryla group that I've had the opportunity to participate in, and I'm always impressed at the potential that fills these halls. I haven't heard what my colleagues Gareth and Nikki have said to you in particular, but all of us do come to Parliament to make a difference. All of us are committed to a better Aotearoa New Zealand. And the great thing is that we don't all have exactly the same definition of what that might be. And that's important because we actually are a very diverse population of people. I come from Rotary on the east coast, population 900, 3,000 at Christmas. And I grew up I come from a family of 10, 5 girls and 5 boys, 20 years between the oldest and the youngest, very symmetrical family. And we grew up in a community where language, identity and culture was a very important kind of platform for how we engage with the world. Of course, it wasn't explained to us in those ways, it was just what we did and how we did it. And I grew up with a very strong sense of public service. I went to Ngata Memorial College. It was named after Sir Āpirana Ngata, the guy on the $50 bill. And the motto of our school was ahead of its time in New Zealand, where other schools were struggling under the shackles of colonialism by having French and Latin and German mottos. Our school was Māori, and it's basically said, grow up and fulfill the needs of your generation. Your hand grasping the tools of your contemporary world for your material well-being, your head, translating it because it was in Māori, your heart cherishing the treasures of your ancestors as a plume of identity, and your soul given to God, author of all things. And I've always considered that to be a really powerful and elegant prescription for how one might live one's life. And in any event, I, for the very similar reasons as Nikki, was attracted at this chapter of my story to join the National Party to compete for Parliament. By the way, I have campaigned in 4 elections and never won any of them. And I tell you that because tenacity is actually a virtue. And being prepared to put in the hard work actually doesn't always result in the success of the kind that you might think it does. All of us in Parliament, whether belonging to the middle-sized Green Party or the magnificently proportioned National Party, all of us come here with a set of passionate beliefs that our country can be better. And I have always believed that we are lucky to be born citizens of this country or to choose citizenship of this country. And in so doing, we owe a reciprocal obligation to try and make a place better than it was before we came to it. We can also have fun along the way, and that's just as important, because who wants to be a good citizen but a miserable one? We want it to be a better place. And I, like Nikki, very much believe in government taking up a smaller space of our lives and work towards that. And I think that the role of government is to create an environment whereby citizens can make good and wise choices for themselves, unshackled by government prescription. And that means, though, that for a country like ours, which has first world aspirations, we need a first world economy. And in order to do that, we sometimes have to make choices that do lead us into direct conflict. So, for instance, I completely support oil and mineral exploration. I think Gareth's party would completely oppose it. And we have these debates about that. And the reason is because, and actually I won't take us down this road, in an unseemly argument. So in order to have that first world economy, a critical ingredient is a world-class education. And in New Zealand, we are very close to having a world-class education system. And while, though, it consistently underserves particular populations in our country, we don't yet have a world-class system. But we do need to have one. We need to have thinking, curious, inquisitive people. I don't believe education is just about the acquisition of knowledge. It really is about the acquisition of skills and your ability to apply those. So I'm delighted to be the Minister of Education. In fact, I'm practically euphoric, except for the constraints of budget. But we do need an outbreak of potential in this country, and we do need to stop just talking about innovation. We need to embrace our multiculturality, okay? Not simply because it means we've got diverse language, and Nikki's heard me say this over and over again. New Zealanders tend to think culture is something you go out and see, eat, participate in, wear, buy, or, have a good experience. But actually culture is what we do every day, over and over again. And the value that being a multicultural nation as New Zealand is increasingly becoming is because it also gives us access to different thinking technologies. And that is the most powerful part, because actually innovation is purely, in my view, putting old ingredients together in new ways or introducing new ingredients to create new recipes. And so what different cultures bring to us and different languages bring to us is a lens on different thinking technologies. So I'm really keen to see how we can facilitate that as Minister of both Education and Pacific Island Affairs. My 18-year-old daughter has recently returned courtesy of Rotary from a year in Brazil. When she wanted to do an international exchange, we only had two conditions for her. One was that she had to get excellence in her school exams, and the second was that she had to choose a non-English speaking country. And then she said, she'd like to go to South America. I said, what about Brazil? She'd quite like to go to Argentina. I said, yes, but the prospects of the economy of Brazil are much bigger. This will assist you in career choices later. And Portuguese is actually harder to learn than Spanish, but having mastered that, Spanish is reasonably easy. In any event, she's come back from that experience with all the things and more that we had hoped for her. So Rotary, in providing her with that experience, and Rotary providing you with this experience, actually performs the function of, I think, you all having the opportunity to meet each other, share different experiences, open your eyes wider and your heads and hearts to other ways of thinking and other people's views of the world, and in so doing,